After more than a decade of conflict in Syria, the United Nations says 7.4 million people remain displaced within its borders. It says 70% of the population needs humanitarian aid and 90% lives in extreme poverty. The large cities of Aleppo, Hama, and Homs have endured the worst of Syria's displacement crisis, with entire communities uprooted because of the civil war. The Syrian White Helmets aid group offered assistance throughout the war and has dispatched teams. They're expected to focus now on rebuilding and recovery. Let's discuss that with Farouq Habib, Deputy General Manager of the Syrian White Helmets. You're joining us from Homs, your hometown in Syria. So you've returned there after a decade, I'm told, of being away, of being forced to be away. How do you feel?
Well, it's a mix of feeling, happiness indeed, excitement, but also we are a bit worried. That because the price was very, very expensive. I marched in the streets of my beloved city, and in every corner I remember a fallen colleague or a detainee. I see the destroyed homes, but we are filled with hope that we will hopefully be able to rebuild our country, get the refugees back, and rebuild a new free democratic state.
About half of Syria's population was displaced by the civil war. Are most people going back home like yourself?
No, honestly, there are thousands and thousands of people who are trying to get back home. You see the crossing points at the borders with Lebanon and Turkey are crowded with people who try to come. But to be honest, once people arrive back to their homes, many of them face big disappointment because there is a lot of destruction. In many neighborhoods and many villages, the life there is unlivable. I found my home destroyed, and there are huge rubble everywhere. The sewage and water and electricity systems are heavily damaged. So we have a lot of work ahead to clear the unexploded ordnance. There are a lot of millions maybe of landmines and explosives and cluster munition, which we need to clear. There are the rubbles, which we need to remove and open the roads, and we need to rehabilitate the infrastructure to enable those IDPs and refugees to continue to return home.
Now, Ahmed al-Sharaa, the head of the new Syrian administration, says he has plans to rebuild Syria. Is your group, the White Helmets, in touch with the new administration? Since you're talking about already clearing the rubble and rebuilding infrastructure, are you in touch?
We are in touch with all de facto authorities. We negotiate access. We deliver services to every community we can reach. We believe in the role of the civil society and the role of the government, who should be working and collaborating together, hand in hand. And we look forward to see the new political roadmap and hopefully get the international assistance needed for both the government agencies and the civil society to rebuild our country.
Do you believe the civil war is over? And I apologize if that sounds like a silly question, but I ask you because when a dictator is toppled, initially people who suffered under his rule are overjoyed, right? As people are in Syria right now. But it can also be, in fact, it often is, the beginning of a new chapter of instability and sometimes renewed fighting.
Well, first of all, for us as Syrians, we don't describe it as a civil war. It started as a revolution by people from all communities, from all religions and backgrounds against a dictatorial regime, which includes corrupted people and war criminals from all groups and backgrounds. Of course, later on, there have been foreign intervention, proxy war, and there has been terrorist actions by different parties. But for us, the essence of this movement was a revolution for freedom and dignity for all the Syrian people. And what we have seen over the past 2 weeks, that there was no ethnic cleansing, there was no mass killing as the regime tried to deceive its own base. We've seen also the base of the regime itself achieved that Bashar al-Assad was toppled down because he failed them. He ran away without saying a word. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't apologize to his base. He let people to die. But on the other side, when the opposition groups took control over the cities in Aleppo, Homs, and Damascus, they gave assurances to all people that nobody will be harmed based on any ethnic or religious background. However, we as Syrians, generally, regardless of affiliations, demand justice. We know that we need to protect our people, we need to protect the next generation, and we need to be able to build peace. But there will be no sustainable peace without justice. We have to hold the perpetrators of war crimes accountable from all backgrounds, regardless of the identity of the victim or the identity of the perpetrator. Justice is a must to build peace.
Do you believe in this new administration?
And we are not worried, sorry, and we believe our people are able to maintain unity. We are worried from the foreign intervention. If external parties try to fuel sectarian tension or try to fund and arm local militias to fight each other, that will be another cycle of violence. However, as I said, we are still optimistic that this is a great unprecedented momentum for the Syrian people. And if our neighbors and allies help us to pass this critical phase, we are able to avoid a civil war or instability.
Farouq Habib, Deputy General Manager for the Syrian White Helmets. Thank you very much for joining us on Al Jazeera.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.